Yay!
Yay!
Hit the button. Okay, this is called a broadcast, and we two broads. So, welcome to Mistress of Reads. This is going to be a series and a series review kind of discussion thing. I am Miss OP or Mistress OP, or if you're feeling particularly nasty, my number is okay. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing. That's only for pay. It's only play for pay. Just saying. I always need a second job. Okay. I've got to fix my back door. Okay. All right. I also have Mistress Vu or Madame Vu
Madame Vu.
or
Or
no.
whatever you like if you're, willing to pay more than 5 digits.
Yeah, we only have
No
one
decimal points,
Patreon
though.
level. We only
No.
have one Patreon level. Indecent exposure level. Indecent, what is it? Indecent proposal level, and
Yes,
that's real
indeed
fucking
proposal.
expensive because we have inflation applied to that price. Inflation, bitch. Inflation.
Word.
Inflation. All right. Do you remember Indecent proposal? That was a long ass time ago, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Oh my
That was
god.
a very, very, very old movie.
I remember my babysitter saying, "Bitch, you better take that money."
I'd take the money. Wait, and like it was like only for like one night too, right?
I know.
Just one night? Yeah, I'll take that
Use a
money.
condom one night, get some STD testing. Let's go. Okay.
And the fact that the movie got so out of control over that one night, it's like, really?
Move the fuck on. You didn't
Like you
say.
got your money, forget it happened, and go shopping. What the hell?
I mean, they were in a situation where they were at their wits' end. So there's a way out. Let's move the fuck on. Okay.
One night,
If
and then the
we
next day
can't
they
move
still.
on, you get 20%, I get 80%, and let's go. Let's go our separate ways.
It's just ridiculous. I just take the money, get the night over with, and pay my bills the next day. I don't see the problem.
It's like, it's
And if the two of them were in that much love to begin with, it shouldn't even have bothered Bill.
it is what it is. Exactly. Exactly. Indecent proposal. Yes. And how much will that be? Is this tax deductible?
Can I get a receipt? Can I get a
you,
receipt?
you remember those accountant hats they used to have? My accountant hat. Those accountant visors and stuff with
Yeah.
the calculator. Let's see. Mm-hmm.
Like, give me a second. Let me itemize this and write you out a receipt, and we can get to work.
Let's get some testing in here. Let's get this over with. Exactly. My God, girl. What is just like that whole situation was just I don't understand it. Boy, gotta get your money.
For real.
That's all we ever say is just get your money. All right. Okay, so we have the Rachel Morgan series this week, and it's the Hollows, and we had a rule, kind of a rule, where we were never going to talk about the Hollows. It was like the book that shall not be named.
And then some insane hooker decided to go and reread the series
Mm-hmm.
and decide to drag others down with her.
Because I didn't realize that I didn't read the final two books. And I was like, well, I can't stick a nail in this coffin if I haven't read the whole series, or at the very least, took a look at it again. So the Hollow centers around the Indlanders, who through a genetically modified tomato,
A fucking
which is
tomato.
which is an interesting plot point in itself. Released a disease onto the world that killed almost all the humans, and the only people who weren't affected with it was Indlanders who had low levels of human blood. Indlanders being paranormal people, and that's your fairies, your vampires, your werewolves. There's never really any Interland species that are interesting in this, which kind of sucks. It's kind of like your cookie cutter, you know, werewolf, vampire, and blah blah blah. Well, witches are never almost never in these kinds of things in a major role too. So witches are always the side character, and then vampires and werewolves are the main characters. So
But why
it's
is it
fun
gotta
to
be
have a
this
witch.
witch?
Yeah, it's fun to have a witch.
But why this witch?
We're getting there. Overall, the series has a crap load of books, and it's kind of set up in this sort of desperados theme. You get these book names like the Witch with No Name, um, or let's see, what's another one that's sort of the outlaw the demon the outlaw demon walks. So it's all the names are set up sort of like a desperado, but they never really pulled that desperado thing because the one thing the Hollows lacks is girl power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she has these great titles, these great names, but Rachel Morgan never becomes kind of empowered, which brings the series down in the end. I do not hate this series. And so we're going to do this in two parts, which is, as usual, we're going to do a small section of the actual review of the series and the review of where we may have gotten off the train without really spoiling it. And then the second part will be where we talk about the ins and outs of the series and whatnot, which will be rather short for the Hollows, since we both kind of did love it and did hate it at the same time to a certain point.
I feel like going back to the Hollows is like re-entering an abusive relationship.
I mentioned about it and kick it. So, did you? I like the series up to book 5. Like I could see up to book 3 or 5. I could see this turning around and becoming more and more stable, even though that didn't happen. And it was starting to build towards some overall thing, which you don't get out of a lot of these series, which is neat.
Well,
And so I was digging it.
what's kind of weird about the whole series is that at some points it feels like it's written by two different people.
Mm.
It's like it's there. It's like I around. Let's see.
Jenks' character changes after book 5.
It feels like the person who wrote book one didn't write book four, and it feels like the book five was split in half between the two people, and then the original author went back and wrote six and seven, and then someone else wrote the rest of the series. Like that's what it feels like to me.
I wouldn't
Either
even
way, it's Rachel Morgan saving the world with her vagina.
I wouldn't even say that the original author wrote certain books. I would say that there's an editor or somebody who gives somebody else feedback who didn't give them feedback or she didn't listen to their feedback. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it just feels like it wasn't. It's like the
Incoherent.
story got really really shaky, and you weren't really sure where the hell it was gonna go. It's like waiting for your Jello
Yeah.
shot to set. You know, you
Mm.
get impatient and you're waiting for it and you're waiting for it, and then you mess with it too early and it falls apart. And that's what it kind of felt like with this series.
I would say that the overall overarching theme is three things, which is well, we can't really talk about it. We'll talk about it later. But honestly, would I do I hate myself for reading a series? Which I hate to say that I hate the wasted time. I don't. For the first like 3 to 5 books, I was fine with the series. I wasn't exactly in love with Rachel Morgan, but I was always in love with the cast around Rachel Morgan. The exception being Nick.
I did like the other characters. I just really
Exception Nick.
such exception Nick and Rachel.
Exception. Yeah. So if I could pluck Rachel out of the series and plug in Rachel more empowered, or she doesn't even have to be empowered in the first book. She could have gotten empowered by the third book, and I'd been fine.
You know the worst part is though is that this book is better like that book, but the series is better to me in audiobook than it is
In paperback,
in
yeah.
paperback, because it's
And
like in
highly
paperback
talented
she's
reader.
such a flat character.
She's
But
a highly talented reader.
yeah, Marguerite Gavin is really, really good, and she gives her
Yeah.
moxie.
Yeah. Because they had another reader in this series, and it
Yeah,
was like the book that it was like I was just like,
yeah,
oh.
that's the one. I had that audiobook. I did not read that audiobook. I turned around and I bought the book
It
and
was just it was and it
and
wasn't,
actually sat there and read it.
and it wasn't the fault of the audiobook reader. It was actually the content in the book.
And
Because
she made Jinx just sound so painful because her voice got so high.
But it wasn't also that Jenks sounded painful. It was that there was portions in the series where Jenks wasn't on character, and he wasn't on character development either.
And I could be wrong, but that voice actress for that one book, I think, is the same voice actress for Kim Harrison's YA series. What is her name? Madison Avery?
Mhm.
Not the reader, but the Madison Avery series. I could be wrong, but it's not. It sounds like the same voice actress, which her voice irritates the fuck out of me.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just I I think though overall this this should be taken as a grain of salt to read this book, but I think like the first 5 books are good. They're solid urban fantasy, paranormal romance, sitting on more paranormal romance than urban fantasy. It's annoying. She has these huge character flaws, such as always needing a dick, and we'll get into that further. It's like she needs a dick like it's a baby bottle every single book, and it's hard to deal with. And for her time period, which this came out in 2005, that wasn't even like if this had came out in like 1999 or like 1998, I could understand that sort of Stooky Stackhouse. I always need a dick in my mouth, bottle shit. I can
Say the roll
understand
in
it.
my vagina. Shit.
Yeah. I always need something there to plug the hole inside myself because I have personality problems when I need to see a doctor. I have daddy issues. I need to see a doctor.
What if the
You know,
reality is all the evil just comes from her hole, and she needs a
it's
penis to plug it up to stop it from taking over the world?
I have no idea because there were such good things. Like I love the fact that she doesn't mind being female. I like that because you get these characters who are just dudes with a vagina, and I don't, I get sick of these dudes with a vagina, and they're always virgins, and they're also virginal characters until they find out, oh my god, I like dick,
I
and
think you're going on about Anita Blake there a little bit.
Anita Blake was
Her
like a
name,
normally character.
her name.
Oh, are you there? You cut out. I don't know if I'm lagging or you cut out. Anyways, I liked Anita Blake overall. I actually liked the first couple books in Anita Blake, and when Anita Blake's pussy takes a break, I enjoy those books too. Which are like 2 books after the fact, where she sort of slows down and leaves the area. But
I need a
overall,
leg. I need a penis. Same thing. Just saying.
okay, there you are. Okay, but I actually like the first couple books of Anita Blake. I love that series, right? Like the first couple books. Don't tell me you didn't like Anita Blake's first couple of books.
I started off. I told you I started off liking Anita Blake, and then shit got twisted.
Yeah, because there wasn't enough dicks she could fill. I mean, I was waiting for the scene
Well,
where she
that
was gonna
and
put
a weak ass quote unquote
a
alpha
phone werewolf.
werewolf that was actually a fucking Zeta bitch.
And where he's actually killing her, trying to create a wolf, trying to turn her into somebody she's going to be. And I wanted to call that author up, and I wanted to tell her to go see a therapist and a divorce lawyer. Okay, no offense to her, but that scene was too much like I want you to be somebody you're not. Do you remember the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, somebody call her a divorce lawyer and call her a therapist.
that would be nice. That would be nice.
Because this series is off the rails.
It got crazy, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm walking away. And Raven's like, no, no, you should really read it. And then and even like My friend Shauna was like, "Yeah, yeah, you should keep reading." I'm like, "Nope, nope." And I actually got into Anita Blake because it was Shauna that mentioned it. And when things got twisted, I was like, "Shauna, the fuck?" And she's like, it gets better. I'm like, I don't think it's gonna get better from here.
It's like it turned into Thunder Pussy.
For real. It was pretty bad.
I don't mind. I don't mind if it's Thunder Pussy to begin with. Like, what's that chick called Laurel Lee or whatever her name is?
If it started off that way, like
Ivy.
that would make more sense. But don't do the whole I'm a virgin and I'm trying to save myself, and then boom, I'm sleeping with everybody.
Literally, there's literally a couple of scenes in that series where it's like a gangbang, where the dudes have to come in one at a time.
Like her shit should be bombed out and depleted by now. She should be able to use it as like a second purse.
Oh, it hurts. Because it's just so like Anita Blake is just so ridiculous that it just like I'm like, who's reading this? What's happening? You know the worst part is I have trouble not reading a series to the end if I liked it. Simply like, oh, what's happening? Ah.
I would rather go back and finish reading that series with the junkie chick who can see ghosts.
Oh, I didn't even read that book. I wasn't gonna read it because I freaking hate all right. So the Hollows overall, should you read it? Should you not read it? It's really a choice because it does get off the rails. So it's buyer beware. It gets off the rails, but it gets good in places too. There are lovable characters, lovable things about the series, and if you ignore Rachel Morgan and treat her like a narrator instead of the main character,
Yeah, definitely treat her as a narrator.
it gets a lot more tolerable. Now, let's get into the discussion. And here's where off the rails comes in. This is why we were rambling. I'm sorry, but this is the spoiler section. If you cannot handle the spoiler section, and for some reason you're driving a car right now, like I know two people are because I saw the Sayris or whatever it's all thingies in the YouTube account, I'm giving you a chance to walk away and not crash your vehicle because you haven't read this series. But this is an old ass series, and if you haven't read it yet, then you know what I'm saying. You're not really an urban fantasy person now, are you? Because everybody's read this
Wow,
motherfucker.
that's cold.
Everybody's read this motherfucker. So if you haven't made the decision to not read it or read it at this point, fuck you, motherfucker.
See,
We're about to
I'm
spoil
not
it.
sorry about the spoilers because I would like to give you a chance to save your money and walk away while you can.
Buyer beware. Buyer beware. All right. I think what redeems the series again is the audiobook reader. If you're getting the audiobooks, like you go into the library because this is at the library, so you can get a pretty high quality audiobook out of this, or what have you.
Or if you don't live in the sticks, you can get the audiobooks through your library's website.
Online. Yeah, online window thingy that they have, right? They have that audiobook
Yeah.
online thing now. So if you are one of those people who are doing that, the audiobook reader for this is worth the whole series. Like I sit around listening because she brings the characters to life, and even though it's not so great content towards the end, it is
I don't know. She
a
kind of killed
joy to listen
Ivy.
to
She
her.
always made me feel like Ivy was on drugs. Like
Ivy
even when
is on
Ivy would
drugs.
joke around, Ivy just always seemed really, 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 really high.
She has moments of high, she has moments of low, but what they were saying in the whole entire series is that being around and taking blood and being in contact with the undead releases certain endorphins inside the head and certain enzymes that should not be present until they are undead, and by doing that it is a drug itself.
She's just a
So
mess.
in a sense she captures Ivy better than the author captures Ivy, which is sad as an author to not realize that about her own character, but I don't think the author actually does.
I already have my own feels about Kim Harrison. and and this is like me, like even like me not liking the author as a person. I still got the rest of her damn books and still read the rest of the books because you can hate the person but not hate their art. I
I'm not, I'm not hating you for hating. I'm not hating you for hating. I'm,
but I feel like I feel like how do I put it? I feel like she kind of like dialed in a lot of times. She or like just had a bunch of random shit on the board and threw darts at it.
well, she had to teach the reader each book certain things. Like,
If it was like, let's see, who's Rachel gonna sleep with? The dart hits, a ghost. Okay, where is this? Where is she gonna have sex with the ghost at?
you really
Uh,
will never
the
forgive
dart
her
hits
for that
in
yeast
a muddy
infection sex.
hole.
You will never forgive that yeast infection sex scene in the
I
fucking
just
mud
feel it's
hole.
a bit of a stretch just to get somebody off.
I don't understand why he couldn't have had more of a brotherly sort of, you know, protector vibe to
Well,
him.
and that's what makes it even more creeper because he's been following around and hovering around her since she was 14 without her seeing him. And then they have sex in the hole? Like,
I what I don't understand
crazy.
what I don't understand, I wish she had found a better character for her to end up with. And I wish that she would have
Oh, and then she killed him off. Like, well, I guess we should make it so like he's gone now. It was like a oh shit, I kind of messed up. Okay, let's get rid of this dude and move on, and maybe people will forget about it. No, no, Hooker, we didn't forget about it. You
you mean
had her have
Kristen.
sex in a
Kristen.
hole with a ghost.
Kristen.
I'm still, what makes me mad about Kiston? It's like you were robbed for like a book or two before you even got to his actual death scene,
And it
and
was like
then
an
like,
afterthought. Bring in a new dick.
and then there's like two statements that she made about it. The first one, she said that she didn't know what else to do with Kiston, and she just felt like his story was over.
Which is fine.
Another statement was like, "You feel angry? You feel robbed? Well, then I was doing my job. You were meant to feel that way." Blah blah blah, and it was like all this false bravado bullshit. And it was just like, let's just admit you didn't know how to write him, and it'll be okay.
Honestly, I honestly think she should have made sure the death scene was directly after and not brought in Marshall until sometime afterwards. Because by bringing in Marshall right afterwards, it was an asshole thing to do and it was dumb. It kind of made her, we always got to make sure that Rachel has a dick in need sort of thing, you know? And it
Pocket penis.
that's where I was like beyond soured on Rachel Morgan as a character. Like it was like spoiled milk at that point because she constantly Rachel Morgan is not complete without a dick in easy range, which is basically what she was saying about the character.
And like the worst part, like she didn't even have to write it so that Kirsten and Rachel would stay together forever. She could have just had it them going their separate ways. She didn't have to kill him off.
Or if she wanted to be an actual talented writer, she could have an actual
Ooh.
wildly talented storyteller. She could have made Kirsten come back from the dead, kill the guy, and almost kill himself, run into the night or whatever, and presumed dead because of mixing blood, whatever, and then got some of Rachel's blood or whatever, and come back as a bad, evil guy, dumped his soul into her body or into Ivy's body. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without having to bring Nina, who I hate as a human
Oh,
being.
yeah, I got those messages. Thank you. Two nights in a
I
row. I hate Nina.
I hated I hated her after she got the soul. I hated her before. I hated her when she was a fucking clerk and not taking shit seriously. I hated her when she was constantly letting Felix in so Felix could plan, plot, and kill everybody Ivy loved. I hate Ivy sometimes for not paying attention to it because she's a fucking lost girl who's so goddamn broken. She's willing
And
to
needy.
accept abuse constantly.
Love me. Love me. But there were just so many other things that she could have done with Kirsten, and the dirty ghost didn't even the dirty pedo ghost, because that's his name since he's been watching her since he was 14. The dirty pedo ghost never even had to enter the picture, except maybe as like you said before, a brotherly figure.
who wants to lead her astray, and she sees him as like a father figure, but he's a poor father
I
figure.
don't now unless there's another series that's about to happen that is happening that we don't know about. I kind of find it disappointing that she took Daryl away.
Daryl,
Like
David.
no, the black cop dude that
Oh,
Ivy had the three way with.
honestly, I wasn't a real fan of Daryl and what's is his name? Daryl.
I thought it was Daryl.
I thought the
I forgot. And you just read the series, so shame
I
on
didn't
you.
like him. I didn't like him. Don't blame me. I didn't like him. I never liked him. Yeah, I never liked him, and that's probably part of the reason why I can't
I
remember.
kind of felt that he could have had more of a hand in things. I kind of felt there was something else that he could have done
Well,
without Rachel trying to save the world with her vagina.
his importance in the series was to reveal the fact that the FIB, the reason why part of the reason why at the FIB has so much uh, trouble here dealing with Interlanders was because they're not actually making a real effort to integrate Interlanders, and therefore
Well,
you
like
can't rule people you can't integrate with.
I just felt that Rachel needed some kind of brotherly figure that's going to be like, "Hey, psh, cut that out," and she
Al
never
Jalera
had
is her
that.
brotherly, sexually brotherly, weirdly feeling.
That's the closest that she'll have. Well, not really, because Al loves her and like loves her. He's more of like a dad figure.
I would say,
Like Al, actually Al and Jinx are like mommy and daddy.
and somewhat Newt.
Newt's just awesome. She's so awesome. She's so twisted.
If you had told me, well, I don't think so. Okay, let's get into Newt, like, because Newt's like one of my favorite characters in the whole entire series,
You know,
along
I'm
with
such a nerd that I cannot even think of her name without thinking of that Monty Python line.
I don't know.
She
I've
turned
actually,
me into a newt. A newt. I got better.
uh,
Yeah. I'm that nerd. So anyway,
the fact that like what changed me to not completely hating the series is because Newt became the goddess, which I didn't know.
Newt kind of reminds me, like the way like Newt was written. She kind of reminds me of Rafiki from Lion King.
Yeah, with
There's
like
something about the
a
way she,
crazy Rafiki.
yeah. It's just like the way she just accepts things that most people go crazy about and goes crazy about the things that other people are like, huh?
But it kind of makes sense because she had those things living inside of her the whole entire time. And so the whole scene, like where I actually started to enjoy the book again, was realizing that Newt had the little bugs inside of her, the little elven bugs. I forget what they're called. I just, they're like spirits or something like that. Um, but the little elven bugs inside it, and while Rachel was decoding all the elven bugs and realizing that it was burning her the fuck out and making her kind of crazy, even though that Newt was technically crazy before then.
Yeah.
I think she was crazy from actually spinning the curse itself, right?
Yes.
Which I didn't get to. I haven't read book 13.1, which I'm actually thinking about reading because I enjoy the demon aspect of this book more than I do the elven or anything else. Also, quite frankly, the elves were just awful people.
I can second that.
As a whole, as a race, they're truly not redeeming. And I was shocked at how unredeeming the elves were. Like, as a whole, they're just awful, awful beings. I mean, I get that their magic has its greatest hold when you accept it, which is an interesting concept in itself. And because of that, a lot of elven magic relies on trickery to get you to accept the magic itself, which is interesting. I love the fact that they say that whole all the we didn't all the all the demons, all the surface demons were actually vampires. That was actually really interesting. I was excited. I was like, oh, whoa. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Did
but I
you?
kind of figured that it was going to come up to that. It kind of there was too much information that led to that.
I figured the surface demons were either all the demons that didn't die because demons can't really die in the logical way. You know what I mean? Like twisted, cursed. I knew they were somehow cursed something or other. You know, or
Well,
B. Go
well, they
ahead.
had to be able to die because Al's wife died.
Or B. Well, I thought Al's wife died because of Newt. I didn't realize that she died. She died jumping over though, didn't she? Because she saved him, right? When they jumped.
I don't remember, to be absolutely honest with you. It's been a really long time.
Okay, so when the curse was twisted, they all jumped to the new ever after the fight because the last scene in the book was a replay of what actually happened during the war, which is they used at some time point, which really doesn't make sense. It actually contradicts themselves because the way they make it contradict is that the ever after existed before the Elven and they all used to live there. So at some point there must have been another war or something else happened to create the ever after, and then they had a secondary war to save it or something happened. But
You know,
I,
if you go by Kim Harrison's analogy, it makes the demons the black people, and it makes the elf. I'm not going further in that, but yeah.
pretty much, yeah. I honestly think that the elves were actually the bad guys who got away with being bad. They lost their land or what have you, but they're mostly salty ass people who are just assholes.
And
From
there are
what
not
I
that
could
many of them left because the demons kind of went buckshot on their asses.
I think that without even reading it, I think the person who originally did the first curse to curse the children was probably the elves. And then as a retaliation, the demons probably did what they did. But from what I can tell is that they were genetically engineered at some point when they were closer together in species. Not necessarily able to mate, but close enough together to cut so it could be close.
Also, okay, and this is from what I remember of the last book of the series. I felt like everything was way too abrupt. Like it was, oh shit, I have to hurry up and wrap this up. That's what it felt like to me.
I thought the imbalance, using the imbalance to create a new ever after. What pisses me off is she creates a new ever after and we don't find out if it's beautiful. Did you know?
Yeah.
That's what pissed me off too. We don't know if it's beautiful or if it's burnt out, shitty place. Because
Maybe
I
she
think it might be
just left a
beautiful.
lot of questions open so that she could ride on this series because her other series really wasn't as popular as people thought it was going to be.
I, I,
It was a weird like sci-fi fantasy thing after like more sci-fi thing after reading like nothing but fantasy from her. It was like the equivalent of J.K. Rowling writing erotica.
well, she wrote a mystery and everybody hated it. Except for people who are into mysteries and who are adults, it wasn't half bad. Then she got a second new name or something, and that's actually well rated because she built that second new name up and she didn't tell anybody. So she's not that bad of a mystery writer. I mean,
Well, no, you're missing the complete point of everything that I just said.
oh, because it was a completely different wheelhouse. I heard what you were saying. It's a completely different wheelhouse than what she's doing, and so she couldn't rotate those fans in. We had this discussion, but since we're on the radio or since we're on the broadcasting, you're right. I'm wrong. Gotcha. I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind. I understood what you were saying. I was just
Well,
I'm
before the
obsessed.
Hollows, it was like these truth books and Madison Avery, and they were all like urban fantasy, paranormally romance, and then she did this like sci-fi thing, and everyone's like, okay, I
What just happened?
guess.
Yeah.
And then
What
they
just
tried
happened?
to draw in the Hollows fan. She did a crossover story, and people were still like, okay.
Okay, so
And then she came out with the turn.
Yeah, the turn I'm not gonna read because I don't want to know about fucking tomatoes. I'm good.
The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, I'm good. I think it's funny that genetically engineered tomato took everybody down because that's hilarious. But at the same, because she has these moments of hilarity, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Pink Stildos and all this other stuff. She has these moments of hilarity in her book where you're like, Jesus, what the fuck is going on? And I love that about the Rachel Morgan on the Hollow series because there's a bit of funny to go along with it. I just wish she was a stronger female,
I
or at
really,
least
really wish she
became
was a stronger female.
a stronger feeling
I
female.
don't feel that she grew in the series.
No.
I think she acquired more knowledge, but I don't think that she
She still wanted to
matured.
be the. She still wanted to have her baby bottle dick. Uh, she was just mad because she couldn't get it towards the end. Correct?
Well, now she has her cookie maker.
Yeah. It's like Cookie Maker is hilarious. Cookie Maker. I love that joke. Okay, so, but like, and she was real hateful about it too. So you couldn't sympathize with her. Oh, I know I shouldn't fuck him, but he's so delicious. Ugh, I hate this. Da-da-da. She
I
was
even
so
felt
hateful.
like, she could have picked like either of the werewolves that got close to her over the ghost in the hole. I'm just saying.
Brett. I would have rather she fucked Wade, honestly. But Wade came later. I
Yeah.
liked Wade and I liked David, but she couldn't fuck him because he had the apex inside of him. And that wouldn't have been possible because the apex is fucking scared of her. But I think she could have withstand the curse that went along
She
with
could
it.
have, yeah, but she could have fucked him before he had the apex.
True. And I also I like David. I like Wade. I even like Brett. Brett, the guy that and that's part of the reason why I couldn't forgive Trent in the series is because he killed her people. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because he was practically her people. He was like one step away from being her people. And it was like, because I could have seen Brett becoming like a Wade.
Yeah.
And honestly, and when he killed her, when he basically tortured him to death, correct?
Yeah.
I was like, that's unforgivable for me. You know, even though he was torturing to death, he was practically torturing to death all the other women bodies or whatever. But I think that a lot of those women died because they couldn't receive help or what have you. But I could have forgiven him a lot of things, but the fact that she forgave him taking her people, that I can't forgive.
I didn't even understand really that get together.
It was the
Like,
last stick left in the box.
obviously.
It was the last stick left. Honestly, I felt from the beginning of the series that's who she was going to end up with. But I don't think that Trent made the emotional journey enough for me in quick enough time to get over the fact that he spent 12 books salting the wound in
I
various ways
I really like with the Alex Craft series that I love and hate at the same time. I
because it
really
takes
hope
her
it
forever to
does
write shit.
well that too, but also I find all the male leads all the males to be weak bitches, and I don't like any of them.
They
Like
are
I
all undesirable.
like the only good-ish one is Death, except that she can't really be with Death. So it's like
And I don't and a
I
part of me
have a
doesn't like
bad
death
feeling
as
she's
well.
gonna end up with one of those other dudes, and I'm really hoping that the author like I know that authors probably would never listen to us, especially as much shit as we talk about them. But
Mm.
I hope that she listens to us and introduce a decent male lead, one that actually has some kind of strength to him.
I think that she's gonna find a way for her to be with death, to be honest.
Oh God, let it
But
go.
I'm gonna be straight up with you.
Or Death is gonna be like the ultimate uber bad guy,
I'm gonna be
and we just
straight
don't
up
know it
with
yet.
you. Straight up. I do not like I do not like death either. There's nobody in that series that I actually like. Nobody. No male leads.
Not, I don't like any of them.
I
You
don't
know
like
what?
any.
For a second, I even liked her little roommate, but then she hooked her roommate up with her other roommate, and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, I didn't like any of them. Any of them. We that reminds me, we didn't read Grave Ransom.
Not yet, no.
We we So to wrap this up, I want to say that we have such mixed feelings about it, and such we're so goddamn salty about this series. Like, there's me and there's Boo, and we have a big hand full of salt, and we're just rubbing out fucking circles like it's some sort of alchemy book to try and shock this thing and make it gold, but you can't. I
No.
mean, you always get books where you have certain things you dislike, but you get to the point where you have books that you have these wildly, these things you wildly dislike about them. And you can have a book series in modern times that is after 2000, where you have a female character who is so dependent on dick. It's insulting to women.
It is.
I mean, I just, I can't,
This is probably
and I
going to
can't
sound
recommend.
really, really harsh, but I don't know. It kind of feels like the author didn't date much when she was younger.
I don't want to go
And
after the author, but
I'm
I would say
not, but there's usually a story behind why things is written the way it is. So either like one didn't date much, or dated too much, or one of those rare women that don't have friends or hobbies and all they can do is date.
I
And
just,
those women exist. I actually have a friend who is like that.
I
Like she doesn't
just,
have a man in her life. She has nothing. She is a lonely island.
I don't. Well, tell her to fucking listen to the show and start reading books, bitch. God, read a book, bitch. Okay, but I just find the series. I could have forgiven this series if if it came out just years and years ago, but you
Maybe during
can't
the
forgive.
80s.
Yeah, yeah, in the 80s, early 90s, Bush years, or first Bush years, Clinton years. I mean, I could have, when they were still freaking out about Murphy Brown and shit. Yeah.
I used to love Murphy Brown.
Or my mom watched it all the time too. Uh, I find this whole thing just undesirable, and because of that, it takes away from the series itself, and it makes it a shadow of what it could be, because it didn't come out during those periods. There was some feminism still alive and well out there. And although I love the fact that she doesn't throw away her feminine side to embrace a male side, at the same time, I would like her to have some level of empowerment. Eventually, she doesn't have to start the book out with empowerment, but at least end the book out with something much earlier.
I just didn't feel that she grew as a character at all. Like
Even did Ivy.
even in the final book when the bitch is like in her 50s, she didn't change.
Well, keep in mind, a witch's 50s is like a human's 20s or 30s. So
It's
she's still
still
technically young there.
That's still there should have been some kind of growth.
Yeah, I feel like a part of me feels like Ivy didn't change enough because she
She's
was
still
still
broken.
hating somebody who was willing to destroy her whole life. She was still loving somebody who's willing to destroy her whole life. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Who without, the worst part is Nina had a soul and she was willing to destroy Ivy's house a whole entire life, and she supposedly loved Ivy. So has Ivy really changed?
Not really.
And the only person who I liked was Jenks, and she kept changing Jenks's character so he'd do weird shit that made no sense, you know. And it's like what the hell are you doing? But Jenks, I enjoyed Jenks.
I enjoy Jinx a
I
lot.
felt, but Jenks was always a good character from the beginning to the end. You see what I'm saying?
But I kind of felt like at some points that he just gave up on Rachel. He was just like, you know what? You do you.
I'm too short to do anything, Rachel. I'm like 3 feet tall. No, like 3 inches tall. I can only do so much. You know, like the worst part is when Kirsten died. It was a beautiful, interesting moment, and had she treated treated, if she had given it just a tiny bit of a respect by just going and telling what happened, I think it wouldn't have soured the series to me as much as it did.
It was like, well, he's dead. And then like a book later, it was like, okay, so this is how he died. And it's like, how do, like,
She knew that whole entire time because she put all the pieces there.
and
Because
it's like,
she knew.
why would you do it like that? And especially it's a character that you built up in such a way that your readers loved it. Like, why would you
I,
do that?
I think perhaps a part of her, a part of her didn't want to kill him. But okay, from the beginning, you knew that she was going to end up with Trent, right?
I had a feeling it was coming because he was a constant thing.
And the way she described him was like, she was practically deep throating his character every time she talked about him, no matter what he was doing, no matter what awful thing he was doing.
It was
Did you
just,
notice that?
yeah.
It was like kind of hard to deal with, but whatever. I'm gonna try and murder all the fucking murder everybody. Trent. Only on this show do you get, a faux blowjob.
I feel at the end, I just feel like, this is a woman who never really took full control of her own life.
Needs to see a
And
therapist.
she definitely has some weird daddy issues.
Mommy issues.
She just has everybody issues.
Yeah.
And I don't find this, I just don't find Rachel Morgan to be a strong female character.
Almost anybody associated with Rachel Mulgren and her family, with the exception of Takata and her mom, I disliked. I even disliked Robbie's girlfriend, even though I never met her. How is that
Wife,
possible?
Robbie's wife, because he married her.
I disliked because a part of me disliked her because she didn't contact Rachel yet. She was studying her like a fucking uh, uh, a fucking butterfly in a jar. I mean,
Yeah.
it was creepy, and it's like I realized that I disliked him and I disliked her. It was like the more males. Honestly, I don't even understand why this is like anybody Rachel you think Rachel loves is somebody you hate as a character, with the exception of Takata and her mother.
And it's weird because if you read, was it Into the Woods, the book that she released with the short stories and stuff, there's a short story that involves Rachel and her brother, and it's a completely different relationship. And it's like, what really happened?
Takata happened. Supposedly he ran away because of Takata, and then supposedly I had a discussion about this in the discussion area of the book, um, on the Goodreads page. Takata, when Robbie ran away from when he found out the information of Takata and abandoned Rachel and her mother, even though he knew that Rachel's mother was going crazy, and he was probably one of the few stabilizing forces, and he knew the storyline of Takata and the mother. He became self-loathing and self-hating, and he projected that onto Rachel.
And see, and that whole Takata thing, that was fucking confounded too.
Not really. He can't have sex with they can't have babies unless it's with another Indolander if you're a witch, unless it's with a witch because of whatever some weird dick thing that they got going on. magic,
They can have
magic dick
sex,
thing.
yeah, but yeah, they can't make babies. But
Yeah,
it was still, a lot of it was just still weird and confounded. And I was just like,
so they needed another person to make the babies, but the problem is that she was kind of crazy from the get go, and by splitting her emotions or splitting her love, it fucked her up, which is understandable.
wait, I thought Takata was a witch also.
Takata is a witch. They were having some sort of crazy three-way relationship.
Yeah, then that's what kind of made things a little really weird and confounded because I was like, okay, that's a whole lot of shit going on in the background of this shit that's already a whole lot of shit.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, quite honestly, I found that whole side relationship. A part of me just wanted to high five the mom.
But it's like, I don't know. It felt like the author put too much effort in the surrounding characters and in building the world than she did in the main character.
I think she part of the. You remember the casual cruelty? we talked about when we were randomly talking about stuff a long time ago. We talked about Rachel Morgan has the kind of casual cruelty to her. She has great empathy and great casual cruelty,
Yeah.
and I think the reason why the author made Rachel the way she was is because I don't think she could see the casual cruelty in Rachel. Like I don't think she could see whenever you're in first person and you look out as a funky. She was doing some sort of funky first person, and then she was looking at onto all the other characters. She described them in such a way, but when she was looking into herself, there were so many holes inside of Rachel herself. And instead of working as an author to plug those holes, I don't think the author could see the holes themselves. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And the closer we got to Ivy, the more you see, she correctly diagnoses early in the series. She correctly diagnoses both Ivy and and like I saw a therapist at some point, sort of shit. you know, Ivy and Rachel's problem, which is they want to love people who will hurt them because they need to feel on the edge constantly.
They really should have introduced a therapist within their social circle
That's
because
what I'm
I think
saying.
that all those bitches needed one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And it's like you correctly diagnosed it, and at the same time, she almost said they're unwilling to love themselves, and if they can't love themselves, they will never really effectively love other people.
Well,
Because
and also like even on top of that, you have Jinx that and it's like they were pushed into dysfunction. Period. You have Jinx who, is semi hooking up with the fairy that had a hand in killing his wife, and then because that's forgivable.
is he is
Not.
he is he doing? Because he always talks about doing Mandalina, but he never talks about doing the other fairy.
Yeah, they're always just kind of together now. Like she plays wifey, and
Yeah, but they don't talk about banging. He never talks about banging her, but he always talked about banging Manalina. So I
yeah,
wasn't. I don't know. I don't know if he, and at the end of the series, he doesn't want to have another rejuvenation on his, you know, pixie powers or whatever. I think he wants to
yeah.
die at the end of the series, which is sad.
But his life is already like already extended significantly for a pixie. So
Yeah.
it'll be some time.
Well, no, because it's like 20 years later. So a
And he
pixie only
still has
lives.
another 20 years. They extended his pixie. When they twisted the spell on him to make him larger, expanded his lifespan 50 years.
I thought a pixie only lives 25, 30 years.
And he was already a quote unquote old man when they
So he
twisted the
started back at
spell.
zero, and it's 20 years later.
So he has like another 20, 25 years.
So a pixie lives 50 years?
No, a pixie only lives 25 years. They twisted the spell on him, which extended his lifespan 50 years.
Oh, and
So
they twisted it. They did another twisting spell again. I gotcha.
so it's like, he still has quite a bit of time.
I wonder if they twisted the spell for his little girlfriend. I wonder if he's banging his little girlfriend. They never went into.
But that was kind of dysfunctional too, though. It's like, yeah, you and your people had a hand in killing my wife, but let's hang out together
I'm a
long
dude, and
term.
I'm a dude, and I need some pussy. Let's get let's get it on. Just don't bite me too much, crazy
I
cheese
never did
lady.
anything without wings before.
Uh,
you
but
know?
they would have to. She would have to twist the curse for his girlfriend. Otherwise, he would try and kill himself.
Well, if that was even really the case, because she didn't twist the curse for his wife when they twisted the curse the first time and realized what they did after.
But they figured it out. And they asked Madeline if she wanted it, and she said no. She doesn't want it. Remember, there was a whole scene where. Oh, well, no, sorry. I just recently read it, so it wasn't fair of me to say that. My bad. Okay. There's a scene where they ask her, please, Madeline, take the curse. And she says to him, no, I don't want to live past my children. I don't want to see my children die. You always want to know what's next, and you want to be
I
different, but
remember
I
that
don't.
scene.
And I also wanted to know what happened to fucking Jax because I want to punch that little pixie asshole.
I was waiting for that scene where Jinx just gave him a good old fashioned ass whooping. I was waiting for that scene because he seemed like the type, you know.
I don't understand what was wrong with Jackson. They never really
He
resolved
didn't
that.
want he didn't want to settle down into a garden. He didn't want his own garden. He wanted to go see the world.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to bang some kids. You have to bang a wife so you can have a garden so you can feed yourself, dumbass. And then you can run off and be IS or do whatever you want. But at the same time, the thing with Jax is that finally leaves Nick, right? And then he
Yeah.
comes back to the
Well, he
garden
didn't
for a while.
really leave Nick. Nick abandoned him. Remember?
I can remember I skipped Ever After. I didn't reread Ever After. What happened?
I believe, if I remember correctly, Nick abandoned him.
Did he abandon him because he was going to be a what you call it?
I
Uh,
don't remember.
Neither do I. I didn't
It's
really
been
want to
some
read
time.
Ever After because Siri, which we didn't talk about, and we're closing it out on Siri. So God knows we're about to get real fucking hateful.
That was such disrespect for to a character that has been there for so long and has opened up so much insight. And it was a knowing character, which she already didn't have that many
Al
of
loved her.
in her fucking world.
Al loved her like no other. If they had a scene with just her, because if they had a scene with just Al with her in his hands, that would have been enough for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't need to see how she died. I understand. I understand you had to close the door of Pierce because you opened that ghostly dick door and you
They didn't
shouldn't
have
have.
to kill Siri that way though. It was like, oh, she's just dead. Just like and like notice that though, like that's how she played it out with a lot of notable characters. Kirsten, oh, he's just dead. Siri, oh, well, she's just dead. Pierce, well, yeah, he's just dead. And it's just
I
like,
don't care if
the
you kill
fuck?
Pierce like an asshole. I don't care if you kill Pierce like that. I don't care if you destroy his soul or whatever. I'm done with him. But if they had a scene where Al is with Siri and you get the idea of how much Al loves Siri and he's just holding her body like a lover or something, just something to send her off. Just you know what I'm saying?
They needed. It was just. I feel like Kim Harrison was just a little limited in her writing when she was writing these.
Or she doesn't realize that you can't just kill people willy nilly and not send them off if they're important characters. You have to send them off.
Well, I also think, if I remember correctly, I'm gonna look it up though, because I don't want to be wrong. But I think this is actually like her first like adult series.
Oh.
So I
A
don't
lot
think
of the
she really.
problems we have here are that I think you said before that she reads like a 15-year-old running around with superpowers or something. I don't know what you said, but it was something like the the Rachel Morgan reads like a 15-year-old instead of the 20-something-year-old she should be.
Oh, and there's gonna be another Hollows book. Okay. Let's see. Before the Hollows, way before the Hollows, when it was the Hollows, and before it was Rachel Morgan the Hollows. Let's see. A lot of novellas. Madison Avery trilogy, which is YA. Perry Reed Chronicles, the Truth series, Decoy Princess, and a bunch of short stories. And Perry Reed's that sci-fi thing that she started after the Hollows. So, and the Truth series, Decoy Princess, that's when she was under the name Dawn Cook. And yeah, I don't think I think that like Hollows was actually her first grown up series.
Do you want to talk about Grave Ransom next show? Because it's going to take me a while to read through Sean McGuire's.
I'm reading. I'm on seriously like chapter like 15 of the new October Day book.
Yeah, it's going to take me a while to read the whole entire day book series again because I don't remember most of it. So I'm going to have to reread it, which
I
is
will
going to take.
totally take that journey with you as soon as I finish this book.
But in the meantime, for like next week, we need something to read in the in the
Um,
interim for next book. We got somebody who sent us on the Mistress of Reads Goodreads account Dante's Valentines, but I'm missing book 3 of Dante's Valentines because I can't get my hands on it. Um, so until I get the whole entire series, I'm not going to start it. So I did not see what you sent us. Thank you for sending it to us. It's just that I didn't get to the end. I don't know if I'm going to like the series or not, but I don't like to start a series where I don't have all the pieces beforehand, especially if the series is complete, because I'm like that. I'm neurotic, and I realize that, and I'm dealing with it, but I'm not. Okay. After I said it, I was like, yeah, let's be honest. So, we'll try to, but in the meantime, what we're going to try and do when we get back is October Day. We're going to try to work on a series that's still active um, for the next one, which is either going to be Grave Ransom, October Day. It depends on how far we get through it, through the
Yeah.
reread. But I'd rather reread October Day if you don't mind. So, which is probably going to put it back. I'm creating like a little calendar because I'm neurotic, and I have a couple things on like. I haven't read Faith Hunter's Blood of Earth series. I'm not going to, and I got a message about that
You
because of
should
Nick.
read it though, because
No,
she gives
no,
some
I do
shit the
not want
whole
to read
time.
Ricky Bow.
At least read the first 3 books.
No, you can't make me read Ricky Bow.
Are you done?
I hate Nick, but I truly love Ricky Bow. You know that he gave information about that girl, that little girl, to his people. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
How could you give information about that little girl to fucking the authorities when you knew they were hiding her? You know he did that. They haven't said that he did it, but he's the only one who could have done it. Because Soul hasn't been around that little girl. Nobody else has been around the little girl and the little brother. So who else is there to freaking do that, right?
You're just flipping out.
No, I
But
hate Ricky Bowe because
I
he's a
get that you hate Ricky Bo, but you get a kick out of like Nell treating him badly.
I can't even see him on the page without freaking out though. Like I truly I just start freaking out. I just start yelling and I just get really freaking mad because it's Ricky Bowe. And I know the author loves Ricky Bowe. I know she loves him.
But I think you're putting too much energy into it, girl. You could use that energy to just read the damn books.
I ain't that the truth. Oh Lord. Okay.
You can scream all you want to. Just read the first 3 books. Jesus Christ.
And then we have
I'll,
Alpha Omega.
I'll
You can
even
finish.
take my phone off of Do Not Disturb after 8 o'clock.
Don't worry
So
about
then
it.
you
Don't worry
can
about
ping and
it.
scream at me.
Then we have Alpha and Omega. We're gonna do a side piece for Alpha and Omega to finish off our Mercy Thompson universe thing, and that's coming up. And
I'm
Mercy
almost to.
and
I'm not. So I'm almost done with. I'm actually doing 2 books at the same time. I'm double fisting kids.
that's you like it. That's my porno sound. It's like, what kind of pornos are you watching? The fun kind, bitch. Okay. All right. And we aren't reading the Gillian, the Laura Karen Gillian series because that's more paranormal romance. But I plan to start working on the paranormal romance, but probably not this year because paranormal romance is just a lot of fucking, and right now I just can't deal with a lot of fucking.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it either. But we have so many books that are coming out in the spring too.
Yes,
So there's
yes,
gonna be quite a few rereads and shit happening. So um
yes. And every time we complete a book, I normally put the thing and the linking for the Goodreads so you can send it to somebody else on Goodreads. Don't be afraid.
you
We
know
ain't.
eventually you're going to have to give in and read Chronicles of Nick.
I read this, so I will read Chronicles of Nick. Yeah. And
It'll
I'm
be
not reading
okay.
Charlie Magdalene or whatever it's called. I don't read that series, by the way. I just don't.
Okay.
Before somebody asked me, I don't read it. It's the one where the Atlanta it's the promise of a city of the off-worlders, foreigners from the alternate dimension of heaven, like Elijah. I just can't get behind it. It's demons.
With
It's
Angel and Demon books, I really don't do well with those. Mainly because I always end up sympathizing with the demons because I think the angels are assholes.
Well, it's about a kick-ass cop trained to take down the toughest humans and off-world criminals. You know, and I
What
never.
makes it worse though is that usually, like, to really get into like a lot of the angel demon books, you have to have some serious daddy issues, and I'm okay with that.
I like Nalini Singh, so fuck you.
I don't have
I've read
daddy issues or
I've read
mommy issues.
I've read both her books. I've read her both her series, except for that one series. But I read anything by Nalini.
Actually,
Nalini, I
like, in fact, you want to know what I really like about the October Day series? She doesn't have daddy issues; she has mommy issues, and and she has a valid reason to have mommy issues because her mom is so way back shit. So yeah, I'm okay. But yeah, yeah. All right, so we will do. We have a lot of books ahead of us. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna read them all?
I don't know, but thank God there's audiobooks, and I highly advise you to start reading audiobooks to expand your audio options
I don't know. It
and
might
take
turn into
control of
the.
your goddamn life, because otherwise you're just gonna be with your legs open reading a fucking book all the time and never do anything else. Audiobooks let you wash the dishes and read a book. I mean, yes, I was on the train and there was a couple moans coming from my headphones, but I think that the dude next to me enjoyed the moans, and it is what it is.
I even listen to audiobooks when I'm playing video games. I do.
Exactly. Exactly. We aren't plugging the whole audio thing. I'm just saying that a lot of our reviews, if we remember to say, are normally audiobooks. Like 99% of it, what we're reading is audiobook.
It just
So
I think I don't have all that much time. I homeschool and I have a career, so I have audiobooks while vacuuming the living room, audiobooks while washing dishes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So remember, when we talk about a book or what have you, or if you recommend or send or anything like that, if it ain't on audiobooks, we are less likely to read it. Or if the audiobook reader isn't good, we are less likely to read it because
I actually like read the first mm, oh, from the first book all the way up to Asheron of the Dark Hunter series. I actually read those.
maybe we should talk about the Dark Hunter series in our throwback series.
Oh,
Before we
that's
do
gonna
Nick,
be
we
a
should talk
lot
about
of
Dark Hunter.
rereading. I think we should do
I'm not
Chronicles of
rereading.
Nyx.
I don't need to reread it because I reread most of it once already. Even though I can't stand
There's
the.
also
Well,
a new one that I haven't read yet.
when we get to the paranormal romance, we'll think of it because that's more paranormal romance than it
Well,
is
that's
urban
why I
fantasy.
figured this way we should still at least do Chronicles of Nyx because that's urban fantasy.
Well, if we do Chronicles of Nick, we have to do that first because I don't want to do Chronicles of Nick and then do that. That's out of
Yeah, but
order.
Chronicles, the way Chronicles of Nyx is written, though, it could be a complete standalone.
Yeah. All right. So I want to thank you for joining us. And I want to just say, yay. If you see an Ilona Andrews book in the store, buy
Always.
it.
I
if
will
you
plug Alona Andrews forever.
because we did talk about it for once the series, so I had to say something because
Yeah.
it's ritual. It's ritual. If you see Hidden Legacy and you kind of like Kim Harrison, Kim Harrison's Hollow series, Hidden Legacy is the upgrade. Great. It's more
Oh,
majory, but
Hidden
it's the
Legacy.
upgrade. Yeah, it's the upgrade.
There's a
It's
magical penis
awesome. It's well
involved.
worth it.
There's a
So I
magical
want to
penis
thank you
involved.
for joining.
There you go. That's an
Yeah,
incentive.
I want to thank you for joining us. And this
Yep.
episode has been fun. Thank you. Yay. Awesome. Goodbye. We hit the
Bye
end
bye.
button, and we are not out yet. You just all are still here because
You're
I am
like
walking
old
in.
people when it comes to hit record, hit record. It's already recording. Hit record. It's already recording.
That's
Already
hilarious, though. All
recording.
right. Goodbye.